a case study involving DSV and Locus Robotics. Jennifer Chung is Director of Automation and Innovation for North America with DSV. Hello, Jennifer.
Afternoon.
And Laura Adams is Director of Customer Lifecycle Marketing with Locus Robotics. Hello, Laura.
Hi, Bob. Thank you for having me.
Thanks to both of you for being with me today. Let's start with Jennifer. Tell me a little bit about DSV. Who are you folks, Jennifer?
Wonderful. DSV is actually a global transportation, distribution, and warehouse service provider. And in our division and solutions division in North America, we design, plan, and run supply chains where we execute warehouse services, manage inventory, distribute goods, and provide a wide range of value-added services.
And what was the challenge that we're going to talk about today that led you to turn to Locus Robotics for help?
So we actually had a health and beauty provider that had massive peaks twice a year. And being able to manage a type of solution to really provide all the requirements for the right product at the right time and the variability of a 3PL was key to it, right? How do you find an automation vendor that can meet your day-to-day and not overspend being a 3PL, as well as being able to support those peak requirements?
Was this within a particular facility, Jennifer, or was it across multiple facilities?
So our original engagement with Locus was correct, one specific client at one specific site. Mm-hmm. But since then, we've actually expanded for different pain points through Locus.
We'll talk about that in a moment as the expansion part of it, but I just wanted to get a sense of how this all began. So with that being the case, with this being your requirement, why did you choose Locus Robotics to help you out?
Mainly, it was really the additional benefit to get our throughput, improve our capacity, time to completion was our key factors, as well as I had mentioned, the variability of our business to meet our peak seasons.
And Laura, what do you feel was the value that you folks brought to the table as you entered into this relationship with DSV?
Great. Thanks, Bob. Great question. What Locus brings to the table is not only the ease of implementation and ease of training new associates, especially in those peak holiday seasons, but also the ability to scale up and down base fleets in order to accommodate those peaks and valleys as volumes increase and decrease throughout the year.
Interesting point you both make about the ability to scale up or down, because people worry that they buy an expensive technology package, it locks them into a particular level of activity, and that just won't work in today's world because it's never steady. All right, so Jennifer, you picked Locus Robotics to help you. You've outlined the situation for us. Tell me a little bit about the implementation process. How did it work? Did it come into an existing facility? How did you meld it into an existing operation? Were there any lessons you learned along the way as you brought the Locus robots into your facility?
So Locus has a very standard approach on how they implement in terms of how they integrate all their design and requirements for it, as well as DSV. So we're able to work very well together and find a way to integrate those two pieces together with some pieces of standardization across the board, as well as some customization on both sides, right? Every side needs a give or take when it comes to an implementation. And then working with all those requirements on what side, and really working collaboratively to understand the benefits of each side, right? What does a WMS have versus what does Locus have specifically, the pros and cons between it to make it work together seamlessly, right? And so we were able to really bring that into play when it came to an implementation as well as an execution to go live with it.
Did you already have did you already have some form of robots already in place? Or was this a completely new kind of thing you were doing automation-wise?
At that time, so we've been a partnership with Locus for over 3 years now. So back at our first initiative, that was really probably our first robot. But like I said, we've expanded beyond that in terms of multiple vendors and multiple robots across the board.
Right. It's just that first time that can be the challenge to bring in something brand new into an existing facility. Laura,
Correct.
What do you feel was the challenge? How did you meet it in terms of coming into a facility that was already up and running without disturbing what was going on? You're bringing in a whole new technology. How did that work?
So the benefit of using the Locus solution over something like Conveyor is there's not a ton of infrastructure changes that are required. We can actually move around like current racking, make sure that travel paths are working around, and the beauty of the Locus solution, not only just the hardware, but the software, is the people. Our founders actually came from warehousing, so they understand the importance of actually getting product out the door onto trucks on time. So our team that we've built here at Locus is really developed to look at the warehouse operation, also make suggestions about how to reslot product in order to optimize the pick paths of the robots.
Mhm. Do you recall how long it took this initial engagement with DSV, Laura? And whether it was just a question of suddenly flipping a switch and everybody was in operation? I mean, how did you make that whole transition?
So it's definitely not just flipping a switch. There is quite a bit of work on both sides to ensure that IT resources are in place, as well as training operators to understand how the solution works the best. The robots are a collaborative tool for pickers to use. So training the associates how to work best with the pickers. They're not follow bots. They're actually what we call a swarm technology. So instead of having a 1-to-1 ratio, where we suggest typically a 3-to-4 bot to picker ratio in order to have labor optimized and then allow the labor to be reallocated within the warehouse. Because once you change one workflow, so picking, if you're picking things quicker, then it has downstream impact. So packing, pack out, for example, is then impacted. So making sure that we have labor in the right places.
So Jennifer, you said it's been about 3 years since you first engaged with Locus Robotics, and you have, as you say, expanded it already. What are the benefits that you feel you've derived from the engagement with Locus to date?
Since now that we've gone through, I would say, the pains of our first integration, being able to replicate it has been much quicker. But
Mhm.
what is also nice is there is still flexibility within Locus and the WMS system with that standard integration approach to customize it from site to site. So I have this great standard, I would call, power cord from point A to point B, but I can still configure and do what's necessary for each client
Mhm.
that we have across our network. So that's really been what's really helpful to streamline it and execute it much quicker because of some of that standard yet flexibility in the integration.
So the system
So Bob, do you
delivered.
mind if I actually add on to that answer?
Oh,
Is that
please
okay?
do. Yeah, go
Oh,
ahead, Laura.
wonderful. Thank you. So as Jennifer mentioned, DSV and Locus have partnered almost 3 years. And Locus is a RaaS model, so robots as a service. So it's not just we drop on the robots and then walk away.
Right.
As our developers and engineers continue to make improvements to the product, those software updates actually get pushed to really kind of help improve. So we're always looking at ways to help our customers achieve additional efficiencies. And we're going to be there as a partner hand in hand to ensure that things are being used in a way that helps the customer get things out the door.
And robots as a service, RaaS, RaaS, is ideal for the situation that Jennifer has described to us, with the need to scale up a couple of times a year and then come back down. So I can see how that could fit. All right, so the system's up and running in place, but Jennifer, what more do you think that you might want to draw on in terms of Locus Robotics capabilities? Further expansion, further technology? How do you see the future of working with these folks?
Actually, they actually do have a fleet of different functionality requirements that they're growing and expanding on. So they have different size robots, as you guys know, with the fleet sizes, but they also have put away functionality, right? Utilizing the bots in reverse mode from what most people think about. So we are actually looking into expanding into different functionalities with Locus bots, as well as potentially some of the other bots, as well as expanding some of different unit of measure picking from our perspective has always been key, being a 3PL. So we're actually looking at adding functionality for our business, as well as they have grown their fleet of functionality available to us. So that's really been helpful from that perspective. And then they're always improving their system on configurations on client A and client B have a very different profile. So let me change how my bots operate in different aisles and different client requirements. They're doing a lot for robot collision safety because we have man, little machine, big machines all in the same aisle. So how can we make sure people and machines stay safe, for example? So they keep
Yeah.
growing, adding those things to the system, which is very helpful.
And Laura, we know that the robotics technology is just advancing at a blinding pace right now. It's going so fast. Things are changing so quickly. What additional type of functionality and sophistication of your particular technology do you think you can bring to the table with DSV going forward?
Sure. So some of the biggest improvements that we've made in the last several months include the MHE detection. The robots can now actually scan for April tags on MHE to avoid any sort of cross paths. So what will happen is the robot will actually see a forklift, for example, and run away from that forklift rather than driving under the tines and then avoiding some of those concerns. Additional great functionality that we've added include better use on mezzanines. So we have the ability for our robots to work on a multi-level mezzanine. Even if a single order has products on several levels of that mezzanine, the bot technology, so the software, can actually what we call a pick and pass. So it can actually take the first product on the top floor of the mezzanine, the tote can then be put on a conveyor, it moves to a lower level, and then that order can be completed. So that's very exciting because it really expands our opportunity to work with different types of brownfield facilities as well as greenfield.
Jennifer Chung of DSV, Laura Adams of Locus Robotics, thank you so much for joining me today to tell me the story of how you folks came together to improve the operations at DSV and how you might continue to collaborate going forward. Thanks to both of you.
Thank you, Bob.
Thank you.